Olympia, officially Archaea Olympia, is a small town in Elis on the Peloponnese Peninsula in Greece. Famous for the nearby archaeological site of the same name, which was a major Panhellenic religious sanctuary of ancient Greece, where the ancient Olympic Games were held every 4 years throughout classical antiquity. From the 8th century BC to the 4th century AD. They were restored on a global basis in 1894 in honor of the ideal of peaceful international contention for excellence. The sacred precinct, named the Altis, was primarily dedicated to Zeus, although other gods were worshipped there. The games conducted in his name drew visitors from all over the Greek world as one of a group of such Panhellenic centers, which helped to build the identity of the ancient Greeks as a nation. Despite the name, it is nowhere near Mount Olympus in northern Greece, where the 12 Olympians, the major deities of ancient Greek religion, were believed to live. Ancient history records that Pisa and Elis, other villages in the region, contended with Olympia for management of the precinct, and that Olympia won, implying that the village was not identical to the precinct. The putative location of the ancient village is the modern village, which appears to have been inhabited continuously since ancient times. The archaeological site held over 70 significant buildings, and ruins of many of these survive. Of special interest to Greeks of all times is the Pelopian, the tomb of the quasi-mythical king, ancestor of the Atreides, the two kings who led their domains to war against Troy. The Peloponnesus is named for Pelops. The tomb suggests that he may not have been entirely mythical. Another location that has a special interest to both ancients and moderns is the stadium. It is basically a field with start and end lines marked off by transverse curbing. The athletes entered under an archway of a vaulted corridor at the start. Spectators sat mainly on the field's sloping flanks. The length of this field became the standard stadion, an ancient Greek unit of distance, which appears in all the geographers. The stadium has been resurrected for Olympic use with no intentional alteration of the ancient topography. Transient stands are easily thrown up and removed. The village services the adjacent archaeological site to the southeast. The Cladios River forms the site's western border. Visitors walk over the bridge to find themselves in front of the main gate. Full visitation is an extensive walking event. Some excavation is in progress there frequently. Movable artifacts for the most part have found a home in one of the site's 3 museums. Olympia lies in the valley of the Alpheus River in the western part of the Peloponnese. Today around 18 kilometers from the Gulf of Cappadocia in the Ionian Sea. But perhaps, in antiquity, half that distance. According to Pausanias, there were over 70 temples in total, as well as treasuries, altars, statues, and other structures dedicated to many deities, somewhat in contrast to Delphi, where a similar large collection of monuments were tightly packed within the temenos boundary. Olympia sprawled beyond the boundary wall, especially in the areas devoted to the games. To the north of the sanctuary can be found the Prytaneon and the Pelopian, as well as the array of treasuries representing the various city-states. The Metroon lies to the south of these treasuries, with the Echostoa to the east. The Hippodrome and later stadium were located east of the Echostoa. To the south of the sanctuary is the South Stoa and the Bouleuterion, whereas the Palaestra, the workshop of Pheidias, the Gymnasion, and the Leonidion lie to the west. Olympia was also known for the gigantic chryselephantine statue of Zeus that was the cult image in his temple, sculpted by Pheidias, which was named one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world by Antipater of Sidon. Very close to the temple of Zeus which housed this statue, the studio of Pheidias was excavated in the 1950s. Evidence found there, such as sculptors' tools, corroborates this opinion. The ancient ruins sit north of the Alpheus River and south of Mount Kronos. The Cladios, a tributary of the Alpheus, borders the west. The Altis was an irregular quadrangular area more than 183 meters. The temple of Zeus, the Pelopian, and open sites used for traditional activities, such as the area of the Great Altar of Zeus, where the largest sacrifices were made. Pindar, the 5th century BC. The Ban poet, says that Heracles founded the sacred precinct, and third clears the space around it as an entertainment space. The 12 gods, and to name the unnamed hill for Kronos. Then he can hold the first games. Pindar's statement is not the proper definition of a class. An alt is. There is no. If there was any such universal, it did not make the dictionaries. Instead, the individual piece of real estate, the alt is always listed. Individuals are not specifics and cannot be defined.